Yo, welcome back, everybody. It's been long awaited, a whole weekend in between this last patch note and this one, but hey, we have part 3 of the upcoming changes coming to Hearthstone Battlegrounds. There's a lot of stuff. If you missed the last 2, we had added and removed minions and the Hearthstone Duos components, which are been trickled out last Tuesday and last Thursday. That's what it was, right? And now we have changed and returning minions, which you might think is a very small portion of the patch, but when there's 15 plus minions coming back and then changes to a bunch of minions and existing heroes changing as well, it's honestly a pretty substantial patch note. On top of that, we should have full patch notes dropping Thursday, so keep an eye out for that one. Not going to run through like a huge encompassing patch review in YouTube because, well, you can consult part 1, 2, and 3 and get 90% of the information. Just cover all the new stuff on Thursday that wasn't included in the first sets and then move on. Without any further ado, let's get into the hero changes. We have 5 heroes changing. Number 1, Patchwork, is now start with 30 extra health. This is these changes are basically set up for a combination of number 1 for duos and number 2 as a slightly functional change without having quests in the game. So you're going to see armor values have gone up a lot for a lot of the heroes. Some of these guys were lower armor heroes that are going to get functional changes to be a lot higher. We'll have that encompassing list on the full patch notes. But more than anything, just a redesign of the hero to have slightly more interesting hero powers, I would say. And, Patchwork's pretty bland. What about Malygos? Malygos changing the text on the hero power from replace a minion with one of the equal Tavern tier to replace a card. So now we can use it to transform spell effects. Bran going down to 4 Battlecry minions played to get Bran instead of 5, which is honestly a little bit concerning, a little puzzling. Did we really think Bran needs buffed? I know Bran isn't amazing in quest meta, but quests are going away. I don't think Bran really needs to get a huge buff here, but, I could be pleasantly surprised. Akazam is now a 0 cost hero power, but the secret pool is very, very, very small. They redesigned this so Ice Block, no longer a card. Completely gone forever. And there are only 4 options from Akazam. You'll always be offered all 4. You can always choose which one you want, situationally for the upcoming combat. They are Auto Defense Matrix, Venom Strike Trap, Redemption, and then a new one that they have not yet disclosed on here. We'll see. Just have a little bit of insight knowing what the other ones are. They're all just temporary effects to help you with the upcoming combat. No long-term value like getting +1/1 to your board the following turn, or Ice Block, potentially staving off death. And last but not least, Hook Tusk, our buddy over here, going back to 3 Discovers. Not sure why they didn't give the artwork. Typically, they give the artwork over here that's like, oh, here's new hero power. Nope, it's just going to say 3 Discovers under it here, but, instead of it being 2 things from your hero power, now it's 3. Hooray! Now, the more interesting part. Changed and returning minions. I'm just doing this sequentially by Tavern tier because I think it makes more sense that way. There aren't that many, a huge ridiculous number of changes to the point that you're like, oh, well, I need to be able to pair these all together with other beasts. We'll get into the theory crafting and whatnot a little bit later, mostly on Twitch, but maybe put a little bit of that on YouTube as well. But there are some pretty substantial changes to Tavern 1. Look at this. Tavern 1 minions. Molten Rock. Going down as coming back, first of all. Molten Rock, which gains health every time you play an elemental, coming down the Tavern 1. And you might be thinking, holy crap, Bofur. How can there be this many 1-stars being added to the game? Some of the 1-stars are going to 2-star. We'll get to that in a second. Mini Myrmidon, 1-star, 1/3 Naga. Get a spellcraft gain +2 attack next turn. That one isn't functionally changed, but it has been removed, so it's added back now. Kindly Grandmother moves down the Tavern 1. That used to be a 2-star. Kind of gives you an idea of the power creep of the game, right? Moving from Tavern 2 to Tavern 1 and not changing the effect of the card, and it's still fine. Backstage Security, 4/4 at the start of your turn, deal 1 damage to your hero. This is, much more synergistic nowadays. Excuse me, miss. Em, what you doing in the kitchen? Sorry, guys. Gotta tell the dog not to be jumping up. She got all excited because I ended the stream and was like, I'm just going to record this video. And she thinks it's dinner time. Silly dog. Always thinking it's time for her to get her food. Backstage Security used to exist in the game. It was a 2-star 4/6. Didn't make a ton of sense because like it was really, really, really hard to make use of that level of stats in the middle of the game. And it was only really that good if you have a card that's like, immunity from damage. Now we have a lot more immunity from damage type of synergies. So bringing backstage security back, I'm not sure I agree that's an amazing card, but who knows? Might be able to see some interesting effect here in the future. Deck Swabby being returned. Wrathweaver going from 1/3 back up to 1/4. Just trying to remember what the difference was here. And Deep Sea Angler going down the Tavern 1 but losing 1 health on the Spellcraft spell. Meanwhile, the economy cards are going to Tavern 2. Elemental is now a 3/3 and is on Tavern 2. Party Elemental is now a 1/1 buff and is back on Tavern 2, basically the original form. And Shell Collector is up on Tavern 2 as well as a 4/3 body, getting a gold coin. It's going to make cards like Patient Scout way, 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 way worse. But also makes it so that cycling 1-star minions isn't just like the king. We're going to have this discussion here very shortly. And that is, how are we making use of even and odd type builds? Because we have new cards that are when you play an even minion and when you play an odd minion. And Elemental not being on Tavern 1 is actually kind of crazy. Shell Collector not being on Tavern 1 is kind of crazy. It's going to make those builds a lot harder to execute. Defiant Shipwright. New 2-star 2/4. This used to be a completely different card. Kind of a weird shift here. Whenever this gains attack, it now gains health. So if we can find attack scaling for pirates, you get health scaling with pirates. Same deal with Disguised Grave Robber. 4-star or 3-star 4/4. Battlecry Destroy a friendly undead. And he used to, kill it, right? You got 3 gold back for it. You kill the minion on the board. You can leave the Reborn or the Death Rattle effect down. Maybe kill a new Barak and then take the aura buff, whatever it might be. Now, after you destroy it, instead of getting 3 gold, we get a plain copy of that minion. That's actually kind of nutty, right? It's a pair on basically any minion that has Reborn. It can be your 3rd minion to create a triple. And it gives you the ability to trigger a couple of those, death rattles that can generate gold in the middle of the game for undead really, really, really cheaply. Yeah, you don't get the 3 gold back anymore, but creating triples, the potential for this is really, really, really high. Heedless Order, 3-star 4/5. When you sell this, give a friendly Murloc this minion's stats. If you can't tell what I'm doing, I am trying to keep the dog calm after I decided to end the stream and try to do patch notes. She is like jumping underneath me the whole time. She's such a good girl, though. M is just going nuts. 3-star, or Malchezaar, 3-star 4/3 now. So we moved Malchezaar down a Tavern tier, enabling that whole immunity, death rattle, demon stuff a little bit better. Scourfin returns back to the game, and Tarek Gosa is back. Who could have seen this coming with all those temporary effects being added to dragons? Shockingly, Tarek Gosa is back, and she may be better than ever. There are a lot of effects that make Tarek Gosa really strong in the game right now. Macaw might get the nod now for the most changed unit in the history of Hearthstone Battlegrounds. Now going to be a 3-star 4/3. When it attacks, it triggers the leftmost death rattle on the board. That's just like a flat upgrade, isn't it? Now we can control which death rattle is going to trigger off of Macaw. Makes it much, 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 much more consistent. Works with Goldrun builds, works with death rattle synergies, works with things like Leapfroggers. Checks notes of returning minions. Where's Leapfrogger? Unfortunately, no Leapfrogger, but maybe in the future. Mummifier going to Tavern 4. Basically, we're just, reorganizing some of the undead cards. Reef Explorer returns. Synthesizer going to 4-star 4/3 with a 3/1 buff. Once again, reorganizing the cards. Gem Smuggler. That's not the art for Gem Smuggler. Wait, is this the art for Gem Smuggler? I'm just so confused anymore. Gem Smuggler, why are you changing around all the time? Now a 5-star 4/3. Battlecry, play 2 blood gems on all of your other minions. Wait, is this just like really good? Imagine if you have big buffed blood gems, Bran buffs and blood gems. Bran plus having 5 Quillbore on the board and getting 4 blood gems dumped on everything. Think about all the synergies that exist between blood gem generators. This could be nuts, actually. This card could be absolutely crazy. But you know what's crazier than this card? Gaining 1/1 per card played. Magvalok is back. Good thing they killed Master of Realities a moment ago, right? because there's no way in hell we could have those all back together in the current scope of the game. Magmalock returns, Master Realities rotates out. Murloc Elemental getting a little bit of a love here. Bigger stat boards, less about generating battle cries and going infinite, but hey, infinite boards still exist with elementals. When Magmalock's in the game, that's a lot of stats. Thrasher getting extra baseline stats, becoming a 4/8 now, but moving up to Tavern 5. Really seeing a reduction in total scam in the game, which is going to be a very, 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 very interesting set of changes. Because we don't have Mantid anymore. And we don't have Matador anymore. And now all we have is Thrasher going up a Tavern tier and then bringing back Leroy. That's not a lot of venom. Might be a very scamless patch. Might be a lot of games that are just run over the opposing team with your big boards. Hey, sometimes having big stat patches is a lot of fun. We did just kind of come out of one, and we're going to have even less scam than the previous meta. I'm a little concerned, but you know what? Play it first before complaining about it, right? I wouldn't be surprised to see them have to hotfix in another scam card to make it so there is actually a little bit of comeback potential in the game. But I could be wrong. Who knows? Octosari, 5-star, 5/6. Double take real quick. Octosari coming back as a 5-star? Are we tentacle gamers? It is kind of like they remove so many Death Rattle Beasts, though. It might be kind of hard to make Octosari work. But then again, if you can get it early after the game, Octosari used to be so build around prior to spells being added to the game. Wasn't too surprising to see those boards with Banana Slam Octosari type stuff popping off. But hey, no Banana Slammers anymore. We'll be, I'm a little suspicious to see if this really fits new beasts, but hey, I could be surprised. And Goldrin getting a nice little overhaul to a 3/3 that gives plus 3/3. A little bit of a shift in stats, just rebalancing for the new scope of beasts. Last but not least, they're redesigning 2 of the spells in the game. Boon of Beetles is now a 3-charge, summon a 3/3 beetle whenever you have an open board space. So it no longer clogs your board as Death Rattle Beasts, but is limited to only 3 total beetles spawned. And Fleeting Vigor is now redesigned from its old temporary 7/7 buff to temporary start of combat, give your minions plus 2/1. Temporary. Does this work on Terracosa? Yes, it does work on Terracosa. Shockingly, they probably couldn't leave this in the 7/7 form as long as this card just added back to the game, because it would just absorb every 7/7 that you see. And you'd have a giant Terracosa on everybody's board. Yeah, sometimes you'll have dragon boards that can make use of multiple minions being buffed. And overall, this is going to be a more impactful buff, typically, as a 2/1 to 7 minions instead of a 7/7 buff to 1 minion. But this card kind of makes a temporary 7/7 buff a really, really OP thing to find on Tavern 3. That's it. Plain and simple. Quick rundown of the overarching patch here. Like I said, we're going to have the patch notes, the full notes, absolutely everything for the upcoming patch, which is coming out 1 week from today. But those patch notes are going to drop in 2 days. On Thursday, we will do a little bit of an top-down type of review on that, if you guys are interested in that kind of mechanic. When this video goes live, I will be live on Twitch a few hours afterwards and be doing some theory crafting today, which will very, 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 very likely make it to YouTube. I really want to do some theory crafting on even and odd boards and what we can make use of in the new completely released or completely announced version of Minions. Waiting to this point to do that deep dive, because it would be a real shame to start talking about things and be like, oh, this would be really good, and then find out that Minion just changed a couple days later, right? Like, it's kind of silly to start theory crafting until you have all of the information. Thursday shouldn't be a ton of new things, mostly hero-centric things that are armors changing, maybe a little bit of difference to quests and whatnot, things that they haven't announced yet. We'll see. Could be surprised. We've got a lot on the horizon and a lot of stuff to look forward to. 1 week from today, guys, the whole thing gets shaken up. And I can't wait to dive back in, start playing for the high ratings again, try out all the new stuff, do new meme builds, play for rating, all of the above. I'm just a little burnt out of quests, and this looks real fun to dive back into. All right, guys, take care. Have a great night. I'll see you again on the other side. Peace.